Today at the Berryman Academy, we're going to look at how engine performance issues can affect transmission operation. There are several engine sensors, both input and output, that have either direct or indirect control over the transmission. And while we don't have time today to look at all of them, we are going to spend some time looking at least one of them, and that's the mass airflow sensor. The mass sensor has probably caused more transmission failures than just about any other engine component imaginable. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at how most mass airflow sensors work. Now, just as the name would imply, the airflow sensor's job is to communicate to the computer just how much air is entering the engine. The computer then uses that information to adjust the fuel delivery. Now, primarily, that's the first function, but it also has a few other things, and one of those other things is to adjust transmission operating pressure. Now, if you look closely at the sensor, and here again, not all sensors are going to look the same structurally, but they all serve the same purpose. You're going to see two, sometimes you'll see three tiny platinum filament wires that are kind of positioned right there in the airstream. It's hard to miss them if you look closely. The computer heats these filaments by supplying a constant signal to them. And when the air passes the wire, it tries to cool the wire. As the wire cools, it decreases the resistance. When the resistance decreases, well, the voltage increases. The computer then converts the current into a mass airflow signal, something that can be recognized. If the wires are dirty, the dirt can act like an insulator, and oftentimes it does, and that hinders the cooling action of the airflow. Even when you have large amounts of cool air flowing over the wires, they're going to cool more slowly, and that causes the computer to think that the engine is receiving less overall airflow. The computer then uses that faulty command, and then what happens? Well, it adjusts the transmission pressure too low. And here's the thing. Insufficient line pressure will definitely cause internal transmission problems, especially if they remain low for an extended period of time. Now, here's an example. A typical mass airflow sensor usually reads about 0.7 volts at an idle, and then give or take a few volts, it's going to be right at about 3.5 or 3.50 volts at wide open throttle. And the voltage moves up and down, and it varies with the amount of air that's passing over the grid. Well, where it can go wrong is when the filament gets damaged or it gets dirty and the reading faults or it sticks at a set voltage, say for example 0.9 volts. So you got just under a full volt. That is still within specifications, but the command input is too low. All transmissions operate under the guidelines set by the computer. Some are different than others, obviously. But when a sensor is reading within the parameters, but reading wrong for the conditions, it might not trigger a check engine light, but it can still create problems. Sometimes the mass airflow sensor will need to be replaced, obviously, but there are other times when a little cleaning is all that's necessary. Berryman offers an outstanding mass airflow sensor spray cleaner that works quite well for removing typical road dirt and some environmental debris. Keeping your mass airflow sensor clean is a great first step in getting optimum fuel economy and safeguarding other powertrain components from premature failure. Case in point here would be the automatic transmission. Thanks for watching this episode of the Berryman Academy. Tune in next time when we go over the basics of how engine oxygen sensors work. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss it.